Hello, everybody, to this Trader Chat interview on the 12 key success factors. Welcome, David and Darren.
Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Gabriel.
Hi. You both live in Australia. David, you live in Sydney, and Darren, you live in Brisbane, right? You're trading buddies. You both are trading my Forex and future systems. You both have started with me less than a year ago, and you're both consistently reaching your weekly hour goals now. So you've achieved that in less than a year. So that is quite impressive. So yeah, welcome. David, just a quick introduction about you. When you have been a complete novice trader less than a year ago, now you're trading Forex and futures. You've got a full-time job as a boat mariner's officer in Sydney. So you live and trade right at the coast. And the last 7 weeks, I mean, you've been straight profitable, right? Reaching and overreaching your weekly hour goal. So that is quite impressive for a novice. I mean, for a complete novice trader. Now, you, Darren, well, you're an experienced trader. You have traded many systems before for many years, and now you're stuck with my systems, right? You're a full-time trader, trading from home, and you've been working for the mines before. Well, you've been consistent very early on in the process, as I remember. And well, let's talk now about your trading journey, which is quite interesting. And let's have a warm up. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about the 12 key success factors, and it would be good if you could give a quick reply. So the question is first to you, David, and then Darren. What is the most important key success factor for you of those 12?
For me, I think it's useful beliefs, number 3, and then closely followed by number 1.
The system. Okay. Darren?
For me, it was definitely number 7, being involved with a committed trader group, the Slack blog, and also having being part of a smaller group with David and I.
Right, you two, the trading buddies. Okay, good. Which key success factors gave you the biggest surprise of those?
For me, it was the trading goal. When you explained that stretch goals didn't work, but rather to have a goal of being consistently profitable. So 2 hours per week. So a small goal, but consistent. Yeah.
Minimum 2 hours per week, right? 2 hours or more.
Minimum 2 hours per week.
And Darren?
For me, it was number 3. Apply useful beliefs that support your trading.
Okay.
So at the start, I didn't realize it was such a big influence on the outcome of your trading.
Right. I mean, you're trading for years, many other systems. So that was something new as well, right? You had not considered before.
That is correct. Yeah.
Had a good impact. Okay. Which of those was easy to complete?
Easiest to complete was probably going through the systems. Yeah, I found that quite, I found your workshop and then the boot camp was really well laid out. So for me, it was easy just to paint by numbers and to follow your instructions. And I became a clinger very quickly. So for me, that was the easiest.
Yeah, well, that's a big advantage of a novice, that if they want to go for something, well, they don't second guess, right, and second ask. That's the big edge. What about Darren? What was easiest?
Yeah, exactly the same, Gabriel. So systems with an edge. I'm just following exactly what you've taught with all 6 systems. So 3 in futures and 3 in FX. So if you follow the rules, it's all set out before us on what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to manage it. And if you do that, then there's a fair chance you'll make money at the end of it.
Okay, yeah. So David, what is kind of the main 1 or 2 that you're still working on?
Number 11, the meditation practice. That's something I'll continue to work on forever. It's a daily discipline. It's not something I can complete and finish. And then probably at the moment, it's defining my personal trading game. So I'm still working out what that looks like for me, and I haven't developed my trader strategy. So that's going to evolve over time as I develop and evolve as a trader. What seems to be working for me for my personal trading game, what seems to be developing is really focusing on really high quality trades and being really discerning and letting a lot of trades go. So that's where I'm moving towards.
For me, it's developing your chart reading and intuitive system skills. So, and also my intuition. So at the start, it's something that's not there, and it's only something that develops the more time and effort that you actually put into trading.
Your trading game is a little bit more intuitive as well, right? So you this is an important KSF for you, maybe more important than for others.
You know, it's very important. It's very important being able to have a look at the chart. If there's a pattern there, hopefully of good quality, and being able to tie that pattern in then with the higher time frames.
Well, let's talk around the Key Success Factor 5, the trader development path. I mean, I'm laying out the trader development path to every new group of traders, right? And it's basically a path that goes stepwise upwards. That looks nice, but it's actually not a stepwise process, right? A trader development path has quite some dips, right? We call it the boom and bust cycles. Well, I remember you too, because we've been working closely together, right? You had those dips and busts, right? How was that for you? You remember, David and Darren?
I remember I had a huge dip. I think I got in contact with you, Gabriel, before the FX workshop, and I asked what I could do to prepare. So I did all of this reading. I got all these books. I started to do a lot of preparation. I think you said that I was the most prepared student you'd ever seen. And I thought that was a huge advantage, but I actually set myself up for a huge crash, for a huge dip. I had really high expectations, and I found that my confidence was a lot higher than my skill. So I had a really big crash. Yeah, the dip I hit the dip really hard.
Well, you've been a bit cocky with the markets, right? I remember.
A bit cocky, yeah.
And Darren?
Yeah, I've experienced a few dips over the time. The first probably big dip I had was when I was probably trying to do too much. Once I eased back a little bit, then it was a lot better. And you come across other things as you're going along, that hurdles that are thrown up at you, and you've got to take a step back and try and work out what exactly is causing that, and then what controls you can put in place to overcome it.
Right. Well, I very well remember that you were one of the first ones of the group who did really well, right? And then suddenly you fell out of that phase, right? And you were trying, like, basically with force to get back into it, right? And we had a discussion on that you cannot force it. So how did that get resolved?
Well, in the end, I suppose it was just a huge belief of mine, always has been my whole life, is if you want something bad enough, well, then you've just got to put in more time, more effort, and work harder than everyone else. With trading, that doesn't quite work that way. So it was a case of taking a step back and not pushing as hard and trying to have zero expectations.
And that brought you then back into this into the zone, right, where good trading happens.
Yes, yeah. There was I know during the futures LMP, I got into the what is referred to as a zone earlier on, and I knew
that was faster than 6 months, right? Within the first 6 months, I think you did really well.
It was probably, I think it was in the 4th or 5th week of LMP with futures, and I knew the feeling, because from playing cricket, there was times when I'd get in the zone when I was playing cricket where everything was just effortless. But then it's okay to get into that zone once or twice, but it's being able to get into that zone every time you front up to trading, and being able to trade from that frame of mind. That's when it becomes more difficult.
Okay. Yeah, but it's an important learning to fall out of it and then find your way back into, right? Because this will happen,
sure,
right, as a trader. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's come to a system quickly back again. Key success factor number 1, David. You have been a complete novice trader, right? So how did you get stuck or interested in my systems?
Yeah, so I came across Van Tharp's work from the personal development side. Van Tharp talked all about beliefs and how if we change our beliefs, we can change our life. And a friend of mine who had done your course, he actually, in the book, The Talent Code, Daniel Coyle talks about ignition. And I'd never believed that I was good with numbers. I never believed I could be a trader. And then one of your students actually said he thought I would make a good trader, and he suggested your courses because you did something quite unique. You used deliberate practice or deep learning and simulation to become really efficient, and that was something that was really interesting to me. And I did my due diligence, and I wanted a business that wasn't reliant on people and products, and yeah, FX and futures really suited me. And then I came into your program basically because of the simulation and the deliberate practice that you built into your workshop.
Darren, what about you? You've been trading for many years before, right? Other systems. So what do you like about these you're trading now?
So I was very similar to David, coming across Van Tharp's work, coming across your systems that you teach really seem to relate to what I was trying to achieve with my trading. And now that we've actually started the courses with you, the detail in which you've laid these courses out is quite incredible. And David and I will quite often talk about this. We will be feeling such a way when it comes to going through, and all of a sudden this email will pop up in our inbox. It's just like, is he listening? Is he listening to what we're saying? It just seems so very uncanny. So what drew me was just the pattern recognition, being able to trade just patterns, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I know, I intuitively know when you guys, when the group is falling into a dip. So this is how these are getting timed, these emails. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's quickly talk about a deep practice and simulation technology, because deep or deliberate practice is the same thing, right? I mean, this has been applied in sports for many years, right? I mean, I've been trained as a tennis player in the 80s with exactly that process, but it's not done in trading, right? As far as I know. Well, I like to do it. I mean, what was your experience combining both the principles of deep practice with the simulation technology? I mean, did it considerably speed up your learning process?
Well, I don't have anything to compare because I'm a complete novice. Your courses was the first time I looked at charts and looked at any of this. I think what it did for me is it broke down the barrier. You were very good at making a complicated task easier by chunking it down into smaller components that I can then master and then move on to the next. So for me, the simulation in boot camp was really good. It gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of skill quickly.
Believe it or not, this was something I struggled with at the start. And it was probably yourself and David that both said to me, slow down. I thought I was going through it slow, but I was spending too much time in front of the computer. Like some days I was spending 6, 10, 12 hours in front of the computer, just going over and over it. It was only once I then slowed down, I really got the true effect of deep practice. And then I noticed a big improvement with my trading game.
Yeah, I remember I told you to slow down, right? You were sending too many trades too quickly in. Because if you do deep practice, I mean, correctly, really deep and focused process, you cannot do it longer like that than 2-3 hours a day, right? Because it's really exhausting. If you do it like 10 hours a day, well, then it's a quick practice rather than a deep practice. And good to get the feedback that helps to actually slow down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So the trader group, I mean, after the workshop, we form a group of traders at the same level, basically, of understanding of the systems that are growing together. So how important was that for you, Darren? You mentioned that in the beginning that was important. So how so?
For me, it's very important to be able to bounce ideas off someone, and also ask for feedback. So the meetings themselves, the group joined, David ran in the start, and we're on one side of the world, and then a heap of guys are on the other side of the world. So it was difficult to tie that all together. So we formed our own buddy group, just David and I, and it's been massive what we've been able to do together. We meet every Monday, and we go through the week before, the week that was, through our trades, what we did well, what we didn't do so well, and then we talk about the week ahead, and then we lay out, so we're holding each other to account. And I think that's been massive in our step forward.
I think that David told me before that you used to trade together as well, right? And that didn't work that well, because you each other basically FOMO'd you into trades, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We were encouraging each other to overtrade.
Right. Yeah.
We were competing.
Yeah,
we're getting too excited.
Motivating each other. Yeah, this is why I say, I mean, calling out trades to each other in a group. Well, it's a good learning as well, right? Because the other might see a pattern you have not seen, which actually is a pattern. But on the other hand, you don't want to rely on the other, right? Like, he takes the trade. Well, if Darren takes it, well, he knows better than me. I take it too, right? And then it develops into a loss, and then you say, oh, I should have done it myself, right? Or it's a big winner, and then you think, oh, I could never do that, right? So I have to better more closely follow Darren. So what happens very often, that's what I see, is that you're losing confidence, right? Confidence is taken away, and it's very difficult to stay like focused on yourself, right? So it's good that you learned that by doing, right? And now you're meeting once a week.
Yeah, we certainly did learn by doing, and exactly what you said then. When we did try and trade together, both of us would take trades that probably weren't necessarily a trade that either of us would take by ourselves. But it took the experience for us to realize that. And once we realized that, well, now we're just try and do our trading by ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, the more a trader progresses, the more important it is that he becomes an independent trader, right? That he thinks of his own, and that he as well develops his own trading style, right? Even if it's the same systems, everybody will trade them slightly different. So how did that go for you, for David? You've been a complete novice in actually finding your niche, because that gives confidence, right? That is so important for trading.
Yeah, it's really important. So basically, when Darren and I catch up now, we discuss a trade we've taken and we look at what the positives, what are the negatives of it. We don't discuss a trade before an entry's made. So I really had to develop my own chart reading abilities, my own ability to pull the trigger, to manage an exit. It's been really good for my confidence.
Mm-hmm. And Darren, what about your trading style? How did that evolve over the last year?
It's evolving still now, Gabriel. What I'm trying to mainly look for now is a quality pattern. Sometimes I will relinquish a little bit of quality if I can see that there is more alignment in a higher time frame. So I can see a big number coming into play, or I can see the 200 SMA coming into play. So as we know, both of them can act like a magnet. So if I can see that playing out in the higher time frames, then that will influence some of the trades I take. So that's how my trading sort of progressed over time. Whereas in the start, I was just looking at the 3 charts, and whatever those 3 charts told me, that was it.
Yeah. No, you're looking beyond the 3 charts. Yeah.
Yeah.
The experiences with the groups that, as of month 6, people start to develop intuition, trading the systems, right? So discretion plays more and more a role. In the beginning, it's actually not good to apply any discretion, because discretion comes from a gut feeling. And without having the experience, well, that's not something you want to rely on. Well, you have developed a lot of intuition trading the systems, Darren, right? Do you remember how that went? Like, from closely following the rules and then allowing a bit more discretion into your decisions?
I suppose it was just the more and more as time went on, reading stuff on the blog and listening to some of your experienced traders that you've had in the past, the likes of Jamie, watching and looking at some of their trades and trying to get an idea behind some of those trades has helped that level or that part of my trading to develop. Whereas if I wouldn't have been exposed to that, well, obviously I probably wouldn't have advanced so quickly.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how I've got to where it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big advice with discretion is that you need to know when you apply intuition, right? When you do it, like when you break the rules, even at times, and why you do it, right? There needs to be a good reason for. What about you, David? You've started as well applying some intuition, right, with your trading?
Yeah, where I'm at now,
quite some, yeah.
Yeah, where I'm at now with my trader development is I'm really looking at those higher timeframes to see when significant levels have been broken, to see patterns in higher timeframes where if it triggers and makes a move, there'll be a significant move in a lower time frame. So I'm looking for a pattern in a lower time frame based on what higher timeframes are doing. So it's starting to come along. I'm still a novice. I played around with a little bit of discretion this week, trying to break some of the rules. To apply discretion, and that didn't go so well. So it's a learning process.
Absolutely. It's a step forward and a step back, just trying and testing out, right, what works and what doesn't work. Some great traders apply little discretion, they're doing great, and others are applying a lot of discretion and they're doing great too, right? So it's basically a personal style thing or personality type thing, maybe. Let's quickly talk about a mental state. So if you could describe it, David, what is your ideal trading mental state?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been experimenting with this for quite a while. I'm at the state now where my best mental state would be indifference. So it's almost like detached. I'm sort of detached from the outcome.
How was it in the beginning?
In the beginning, my mental state, I was too tightly attached to the outcome. So I was watching everything. I was babysitting trades, watching every bar, and that was creating a bit of like FOMO in me, maybe a bit of fear or anxiety in me. Now I just use alerts. I just set alerts at significant levels, and I just manage the trades that way. So I'm indifferent now.
So trading has become much better, but as well much easier as well, right? Less energy consuming.
Yeah, a lot less. Yeah.
Obviously, a mental state is very important. And I just try and approach it from that cool, calm, and probably in a controlled fashion, but being very wary of the market and how it's behaving. So what I mean by that is responsiveness. Like, is it responding well to patterns? And that's something that only comes after time, once you've been doing it for a few months, I suppose, where you'll develop that. So it probably requires a little bit more stalking at the start of the week just to see how patterns, whether they're following through or whether they're not.
And Gabriel, I can also see that your systems work, and I know that it's just my job to place trades when the rules are met, and then to trust that over enough trades, the results are going to be there. I don't need to be fixated on the next trade. I've got to think in terms of lots of trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's a big thing with a key success factor number 2, to have a clear trading goal, right? The goal is not, because many traders have that, the goal is not to take many trades per day or to take at least one trade a day, or the goal is not to maximize your R outcome per week, right? What really works to put a traders, rule-based discretionary traders, in a good mental state is having a low, like a goal that can be reached as well when the markets are difficult, right? And we set that out to minimum 2 hours per week or more. And the focus is on consistency, right? Consistency means if you can get there or above with 3 of the 4 weeks per month, well, then you're consistent, right? And then beyond that is the monthly R goal. Well, the interesting thing is 2 hours per week. Most people think, oh, that's not a lot. But if you trade 1% and you can run the numbers, if you make 2 hours every week per year, well, it's well above 200%, right? It's 290%. So even if you only stop after 2 hours, well, you will have a fantastic return, right? Well, not every week, obviously, you will get there, but some of the weeks you will be much higher than 2 hours, right? Like you have shown, Darren, in the last couple of weeks. You had many more than 2 hours, right? We have other traders like Jamie, they do more than 100 hours per week at some weeks, right? So that's just cream on the top, basically. But he follows as well this consistency rule of 2 hours per week. What comes beyond that, right, after reaching the minimum R goal, what is then the key success factor number 9, to have a trader strategy. So let's say it's Wednesday morning and you had, let's say, one great trade that ended up with 5 R, right? So you have way overachieved the weekly R goal of 2. So now the trader strategy comes into place. What do you do, right? Do you call it a week? Do you allow for 2 losses in a row, for 3 losses, then call it a week, right? To just keep consistency. I mean, did you think about then what are your next higher levels to reach, right? 5 R, 8 R, 15 R. Did you think already about your trader strategy?
Yeah, it's basically if I was to get a 5 R trade early in the week, the way I look at it is then I've got 3 goes to increase my R position for the week. And what I'm looking at this stage is increments of 5. So if I get beyond 10 and say if I'm at 12 R, well then I've got 2 R. I can give up going for the moon again. That's how I've sort of approached it at this stage. So I haven't been fortunate enough to go beyond 20 R yet, but that's the process I'm using.
Yeah, the good thing is with basically locking in an R level, right, and allowing only, let's say, 2 losses in a row, that makes you more cautious, right, and more careful, picking higher quality. Because typically, if you've got a big week already, 15 R, typically what happens is euphoria kicks in, right, and you want to get more and more. You will actually choose lower quality patterns, and you might get into a drawdown, right? So this is why it makes all the sense, right, to have that thought beforehand, the trader strategy.
Yeah, and you're exactly right with what you said there, because early on there were some weeks where both of us were up a little bit. So then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to go for it. But in those early stages, some of the trades I took and showed David, he looked at it and he's like, "What's that?" And so it didn't work, because nearly every trade I took like that ended up in a 1 R loss. So if you're going to go for it, it's still got to be a high quality trade. So and you've still got to have your reasons for taking it.
Yeah.
What I found works really well for me, Gabriel, is there's a part of me that wants to have action every time I sit down, and that's not realistic, and that can set me up for over trading. So what a little trick or a little hack that I've found that works is I like to take a screenshot and identify them and put them in my trade log and say, I've rejected this trade for this reason. So it still meets that part of me where I get to capture a trade, put it in the trade log, send it through to you. There's a part of me that's proud that I've been able to identify it and not take it. And then by doing that, I'm a lot less likely to overtrade. I can be more selective, take more discerning trades, and then
absolutely, you can be very proud if you don't take a trade, right? And that is not of good quality. Well, that is flawlessly executed, right? Not taking a bad trade. Well, even if you don't take a good trade for whatever reason, right? You might not feel like doing so. That's never a mistake. Because a lot of traders come to me and say, "Oh, I missed this and that good trade. It's a big mistake." No, right? It's never a mistake not to take a trade. Because the goal is to get to your minimum R goal per week. The goal is not to take every good quality trade, because we miss a lot of trades when we sleep, right? So missing trades is one of those other things, and it's beliefs based, right? That we want to let go and not feel frustrated about. What about the last key success factor? You have progressed, hugely over the last year as a trader, and you've worked on your mental state and you're meditating, etc. Did it have an impact on your day-to-day life outside of trading, relationships with friends and family? Darren?
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely had a massive impact on me, Gabriel. You could talk to my wife and my children, and you could say I'm a completely different person to what I was 12 months ago. Some of the things that we've been working on now, just I'd never considered before in my life. I think it amuses David sometimes the way things can come up with the psychological issues and how they can really impact your trading if you let them. And that's where it's really, really good, I suppose, with the buddy system that we've got. When I'm down, he's there to pick me up, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Except I probably don't pick him up. I'll probably boot him in the bum and tell him to get up.
So how did it change? If you can be, if you want more specific, how did it change? When are you more relaxed with your family? You don't get stressed that quickly and annoyed that quickly, or
Probably a lot more relaxed with my family, and just a lot more relaxed in general. Things that used to annoy me don't necessarily annoy me now. I can smile at them and laugh at them, and I wouldn't have been able to do that before. So that's the biggest change.
Right. Yeah. That's important to have that capability in trading, right? To have a losing trade and let it go quickly, even laugh about it.
Yeah.
David?
So I used to think that I had a belief that when I'm a successful trader, I'll be happy. When I'm successful at trading, then my life would be good. And that was putting a lot of pressure, and it was setting me up for failure. It was putting too much pressure on me to trade. And I started to follow your recommendations of doing the meditation, about doing a gratitude list, and then you recommended and taught us how to do the emotional release. So I started to put those into my day and into my daily practice. And then what's happened is I now realize that I've got a good life already. I don't need trading to have a good life. I've already got a good life. So there's less expectation, there's less pressure to make the trading work. And as a result, I think that's probably one of the key pivotal moments where my trading just started to improve, because I was less attached to it. I didn't need the outcome. I could just be indifferent to the markets and just wait for the trades to come to me, not be chasing and pulling the trigger on patterns that weren't high quality enough.
Exactly. If FOMO goes away, like fear of missing out or fear of losing opportunity, if that fear goes away, I mean, trading is completely different, right? Completely.
And I relate to that. I had a lot of FOMO in the beginning. I was trigger happy. I'd pull the trigger on everything. And as a result of following key success factor number 12 and your recommendations, FOMO's left me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Great. Yeah, there's this old saying that good traders are happy people, right? And it's an old saying, right? I mean, it's actually with the students I meet, some of those in the beginning, well, they are already happy, right? Like Jamie, for example, and I can see that those that are already at that level, right, of acceptance and gratitude, and they can run through their development process very quickly, right? Well, most of them are not. Well, they then have to more focus on these key success factors number 3 and 4, right? We look more at the non-useful beliefs for trading, and releasing those things will actually move you into being a happy person, being more indifferent, more relaxed, right? And this is kind of I think you both mentioned that was one of the most important things, right? 3 and 4, and that comes from the happiness thing, right? From the being cool, calm, and confident. Okay. Anything else? I mean, what would you recommend to a novice trader? Does anything come to your mind?
Yeah. Lower your expectations, put less pressure on yourself, and go. And this is all counterintuitive, right? If out in the business world, in sport, if you want to achieve, you got to push harder. You got to do more. It doesn't work in trading. So my recommendation to beginners is lower your expectations, put less pressure on yourself, give yourself more time. Don't try and do this in 12 months. Just be patient. It'll happen when it happens. And get yourself involved in the blog. I found that probably the biggest key factor for my development in getting to this point in time is involvement in the blog, and also buddying up with a trading buddy. Like pairing up with Darren has been really instrumental and really important for my development. Having someone there every week in, week out, to be able to message, to be able to email, to be able to share my trades with, to keep me accountable, to hold me accountable to front up to this through my dips and through my lows. And then for me to be able to share my successes and my wins, that's been really, really nice and really important to me to getting where I am.
Okay, great. Now that's what I often tell to people that have too high expectations. The best is having low or better no expectations, right? Be focused, but go with the flow, right? With no expectation.
But I'm a type A, Gabriel. I'm a type A personality. I want it now. I want it all, and I want it now.
Yeah, as most of us are. Yeah. And Darren, what about you? What would be your advice to a novice or a beginning trader?
Believe in the process. So, and that's the biggest thing, is what's laid out in front of you. Is I've done other courses, as you mentioned before, and the course that you've laid out is a well thought out process the whole way through. So, and as I mentioned before as well, like there's times when you're feeling a certain way, and because you've run these courses now over a period of time, you know basically how we're going to be feeling, and you've got that email coming out that's sort of, okay, yeah, right, okay, this is what we should be expecting at this time. So I suppose it's just believe in the process, and whatever's laid out before you, just follow that process. Be involved, like David said, in the blog, and if you can, be involved in the group itself, or grab a buddy who can keep you on the straight and narrow, and that's very beneficial.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've got many students asking, hey, I'm in Australia, New Zealand. It's really difficult to trade in this region, and I mean, you're the best. You're the best proof, right? That, and Jamie as well, and others. Australia is forex and futures is a global market, right? You can trade it nearly 24 hours a day, and it doesn't really don't need to follow, right, a certain time of the day, and that's a nice thing as traders as well, to trade when we are at our best, right, and not when we think the market should be at its best, because then you're playing the rules of somebody else, right, of the market. We want to play around our own rules, right?
I listened to the LMP recording, and this comes up every LMP, like every group discussion. There's always a lot of time and a lot of energy spent discussing the best time of the day to trade. And everyone talks about this, but I've never heard you talk about this, Gabriel. You always say that we should be the captain of our trading and trade when it suits us. And the other morning, Darren traded at I think it was Friday morning, like 9 or 10 a.m. our time. So there wasn't the London Open, there wasn't the New York Open, there wasn't the Tokyo Open. It was just the Sydney Open. And Darren did like 12R in like, what, 2 hours or something. So it just shows that it doesn't matter when you're sitting down, just sit down and focus on the process.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we had a live trading workshop in Singapore, and it did really well, right? 3 trades, 9 hours. So yeah, it doesn't really matter where you are in the world, and it works. Just be fine. Okay, well, thanks a lot for this Trader Chat interview. It was very interesting. It's the first one we did here with two of you, and that was very, very good. So thanks a lot, and good trader progression in the future.
You're very welcome.
Thanks,
Gabriel.
Take care.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Bye.